Hello students, welcome to this next video on Laplace transformation. In the last video we saw what is a Laplace transformation. In this video we are going to look at the existence theorem for the Laplace transformation of a given function. So the topic for this video should be existence of Laplace transformation. So basically we are looking at the sufficient conditions for existence of Laplace transformation. And if you want to be more specific, so we are going to look at the sufficient conditions for existence, right? So for that I need two definitions for defining the existence of Laplace transformation of a function. The first definition I need for this I need two definitions. The first one is a piecewise continuous function, and the second one is a function of exponential order, So let me do the piecewise continuous function first. So let us see what is a piecewise continuous function. So for piecewise continuous function, as the name tells you, so let me write down the definition, or let me tell you first. Suppose you have a function on any interval AB. If you're talking about an interval AB, if your function is continuous everywhere on the interval AB, if your function f of x is continuous everywhere on the interval AB, except at finite number of points. So it means that your function is continuous everywhere except at maybe 2 points or maybe 5 points, or whatever is the number of points, they are countable. It means that you can count, they're finite in number, not countable, they're finitely countable. It means that they are finite, right? Okay, fine. And plus there is one more condition, and at the point of discontinuity, the type of discontinuity should be a jump discontinuity. Now you should know what is a jump discontinuity. Jump discontinuity means that both left hand limit and right hand limit should exist finitely, should be finite, not equal. So if you remember the definition of continuity at a point, we say that a function is continuous at a point if the left hand limit and the right hand limit, they are equal. Now we have seen the situations where the left hand limit may be infinity or minus infinity, and the right hand limit may be plus infinity, or say it is finite. So both the limits are not equal, but here we want that both left hand limit and right hand limit, they should be finite. The only thing is they are not equal, right? Because you cannot have this thing that from left hand side you have infinite limit. So what is the idea of this piecewise continuous function? Can you think of why we are defining these piecewise continuous functions? So can you think of why to define these piecewise continuous functions? So you see, what always we like in real life also, if you are if we talk about our lives, what we want in our lives, we want that we should be with nice people, with nice things, right? So this is why we are going to piecewise continuous function. The philosophy is hidden in your daily life. So idea is that whenever you are anywhere, you want to with nice people, everything in your life you want to be nice, like you want it to be nice, you want nice people, you want nice things, right? You want nice shoes, and so everything you want nice in your life, right? Similarly, when we are doing mathematics, so we love nice functions, we love nice functions, right? So can you think of nicest functions? So like polynomials or the functions which are continuous, and we know that the continuous functions are nice, continuous functions are nice, right? Okay, now what happens when you don't get nice things? For example, suppose you want like mm, a car, say you want a BMW, right? But that is beyond your reach. Suppose you don't have that much money, so this is a nicer thing for you, this is nice thing for you, but that is not in your approach. So what you will say, okay, maybe I can buy a car which is in my approach, but okay, that should also be good. So can I have something which is not as good as BMW but still it is good? So maybe you can come to some lower model of BMW, this is the say the super model, right, highest model. So you'll get some lower model or things like that. So this we try to compromise, we try, this is a compromise. So similar thing is, if you are not having continuous functions which are supposed to be nice functions, they are actually nice functions, then we can do a compromise, right? And we look for piecewise continuous functions, right? So piecewise continuous function is just a compromise with continuous functions, and that is why you see what we are saying, you have an interval a b, you have a function which is continuous everywhere. Suppose it is not continuous at these 2 points, one point is here, one point is here, right? And everywhere else your function is continuous. So I am saying that at these 2 points the left hand limit and right hand limit should also exist. So I'm putting a further condition that the point of discontinuity should be only the jump discontinuity, right? If you relax this condition, then maybe you are like more away from this thing which is your aim, right? You are looking for continuous functions, but suppose something comes out and you are unable to find out continuous functions, or you want to look at a broader class, because continuous function, the class will be small class, so you want to look at a broader class of functions, then you will compromise with continuity. And this is the that compromise, that we are allowing our function to be discontinuous at finite number of points, plus, but we are saying that at the point of discontinuity it should be a jump discontinuity, right? So this is the definition of piecewise continuous function. It should be clear to you. So there is some confusion with students, that some of you may think that this is the piecewise continuous function is this, only this definition is there, but it should be clear to you that we need that at the point of discontinuity there should be a jump discontinuity. Okay, fine. So let us look at the examples of piecewise continuous functions. So I can tell you one very simple example you can think of. I think most of like you must have that example already in your mind. That is your GINT function. GINT function, greatest integer function. So what is GINT function? This is greatest integer function. So what is the greatest integer function? So this is a function which is defined as mod x. This is the greatest integer function. This is equal to, this is defined not mod x, GINT x. This is a symbol for GINT x. This is the greatest integer less than equal to x, right? For example, if I want 1.5, GINT of this function is 1, because 1 is the greatest integer which is less than 1.5. Then if I want to find out the GINT function of 2, that is 2, because 2 is the greatest integer which is less than is equal to 2, right? And similarly 1.1 also the GINT function is 1, 1.9 also the GINT function is 1. And if you talk about minus 1.3, so you see this is the number line, minus 1, 0, minus 2. So here is your number minus 1.3. So the GINT function is the integer smaller than the number 1.3. So the answer is minus 2, right? So if you plot the graph of GINT function, say this is 0, this is 1, then for all the numbers between 0 and 1, the value of the GINT function is 0, and at 0 it is 0, and at 1 it is 1, right? So your graph goes like this. 1 to 2, the value is 1, So this is 1, and then at 2 the value is 2. I'm sorry, at 2 the value is 2, at the 1 the value is 1, and from 2 onwards up to 3 the value is 2, right? So this is 2 here, and so on, and this is the graph here. And if you talk about 0 to minus 1, then the value is 0 to minus 1, the value is minus 1. So you have like this, and so on, right? So you see this function is defined from minus infinity to plus infinity. So whatever interval you take, there will be only finite number of points which are points of discontinuity, right? Because you have already fixed this two numbers, say minus m to m. So whatever interval you will take, there will be only finite points of discontinuity, and moreover at each point both the left hand limit existing and right hand limit existing, but they are not equal. So the discontinuity at each point is jump discontinuity. So this is a nice example of piecewise continuous function. So this is the Jint function, you should remember, is a piecewise continuous function, whatever is the interval you are talking about, right? It doesn't matter. So I can draw one more example. So you can have f of x is equal to 1 for x greater than 0 and minus 1 for x less than is equal to 0. Is it a piecewise continuous function? Yes, it is a piecewise continuous function. So you have the graph of the function is like, for x less than is equal to 0 the value is minus 1, and for x greater than 0 the value is 1. So there is only one point of discontinuity, and that point of discontinuity is jump discontinuity. So given whatever is the interval given, it is going to be a piecewise continuous function, right? So it is a piecewise continuous function. Fine, right, on whatever interval, because it is important that which interval you are talking about. Now let us look at this graph. If I give you some graph like this, you have A, then you have A1, then you have A2, then you have B, right? Suppose your graph is like this. So you have this open here, and then you have closed here, open here, then you have like this, you have open here, and then open here. In between you have some value of the function. If I ask you, is it a piecewise continuous function? Is it a piecewise continuous function? So can you think of whether it is a piecewise continuous function or not? So I think you must get the answer that yes, this is a piecewise continuous function, because you see 1, 2 and maybe the endpoints. These are the only points of discontinuities. And here you can see that there is a jump discontinuity. Here also there is a jump discontinuity. It doesn't matter, right? This is just the value of the function, right? Limit is finite and they are not equal, so jump discontinuity. So that is why the answer is yes, right? Okay, now let me give you an example which is not piecewise continuous. So I am asking you, if cos of x by x for x greater than or equal to 0, this is the interval given to you or the domain given to you, is it continuous? Is it continuous? Right. So now you can see that this is a nice function when x is not 0. So the only problem which you will get is that x is equal to 0. And let us look at the limit of the function at x equal to 0. Now you the cos 0 is 1, so the limit is 1 by 0, that is infinity, right? Therefore it cannot be a piecewise continuous function on an interval which contains 0. Can't be a piecewise continuous function. You see the reason? Because piecewise continuous function cannot have infinite limits anywhere in the interval. That is the definition. That is why we are putting the restriction of jump discontinuity. So it can't be a piecewise continuous function on an interval containing 0, right? The moment you remove 0, then everything is fine, right? Okay, now let us look at this thing, the next thing, which is your exponential order. So I told you that I need two things for defining giving you the sufficient conditions for the existence of Laplace transform. So the second condition is the definition of function of exponential order. Function of exponential order. Right. So you see, we say that a function, let me write in the definition first, then I'll explain. A function f of x is said to be of exponential order c if there exists a constant m if there exists a constant m greater than 0 and a real number x1 and a real number x1, right, such that the modulus of your function is less than is equal to that constant m times e raised to power cx for all x greater than equal to x1, right, for some x1. Okay, so what you are saying here is you are given a function f of x and you are saying that this is of exponential order c if there exists a constant m and a real number x1 such that for all x greater than x1 your graph of your function has absolute value less than is equal to m times e raised to power cx. So geometrically what you are saying here is, you see, geometrically here we are saying that suppose this is your function, this is x1. So we are saying that whatever happens before x1 I don't care, after x1 the graph of my function mod of that value should be less than the mod of this m times e raised to power cx. So somehow I am giving a bound on the magnitude of my function. So I want that my function should have a magnitude less than that of exponential times a constant, okay, after certain value, that is x1. That x1 can be any real number. Is that thing clear? And here m is positive. So this is the definition of function of exponential order c. So we are saying that if the magnitude of your function is less than is equal to a constant times e raised to power cx after certain value of, you know, say x1 here, then you say that your function is of exponential order. Now you can look at the literal meaning of exponential order. Means somehow you can relate they are of the same order, means almost same magnitude. So we are saying that not almost same magnitude, somehow we are saying that okay, same order means if this is finite, this is also finite, something like that, right? So you can relate it to that of exponential order means you have a relation between the magnitude of the exponential function and the magnitude of your function. So you should remember this is the mathematical definition of function of exponential order. So let me give you some examples. Sin x, if I take f of x is equal to sin x, right, this is a function of exponential order. I'll tell you what is the order. So you can write, see, sin x, I know the mod of sin x is less than is equal to 1 for all x. In particular, if I'm talking about say x greater than equal to 0, because that is what I want for Laplace transformations. Now I can write it as 1 into e raised to power 0 x. So I can write that my sin x, which is your function, is less than is equal to 1 into e raised to power 0 x for all x greater than equal to 0. Therefore, I can say that sin x is a function of exponential order 0. Sin x is a function of exponential order 0. Exponential order 0. Right? So this is how you can see that whether a given function is of exponential order or not. Now I'll tell you this. So you have to see, check if f of x is equal to cos x upon x is of exponential order for x greater than equal to 0. So this is your idea. Now you see here I just took my function and I took the magnitude. Here if you take that cos x by x, this is less than is equal to 1 by mod x, you don't get anything. You don't get anything further. Right? Okay, because here you are saying that x is greater than equal to 0, so this can take as large value as possible. So it is not bounded by exponential. So what we should do? Now you see, look at the definition. Definition says f of x should be less than is equal to m e raised to power cx. Now if you take this here, so you'll get e raised to power minus cx into fx should be bounded. So this is another way of looking at the definition of exponential function. Now let me try that here. So if I take e raised to power minus cx, I don't know what c is, into f of x. So I'll get e raised to power minus cx into cos x upon x. Right. So this is equal to, this is less than is equal to e raised to power minus cx upon mod x. Right. Now I know that this quantity can go to, this quantity will go to infinity as x goes to 0. Why? Because as x goes to 0, this is going to be 1, this is going to be 0. So 1 upon 0 it is going to infinity. It means that it is not bounded. It is not bounded for x greater than equal to 0 because 0 term is there. So this term is not bounded. We want it to be bounded for exponential function. Therefore, f of x is equal to cos x upon x is not a function of exponential order, is not a function of exponential order. Right. So this is these are the two things which are required for the existence theorem of Laplace transformation. Now I am going to write the existence theorem for the Laplace transformation. Let us write down existence theorem. So it says that, okay, let me write, for the Laplace transformation, right. So it says that if f of x is defined and piecewise continuous on 0 to infinity, or for x greater than equal to 0, the same thing, and is of exponential order c, for x greater than equal to 0, right? It means that mod of f of x is less than is equal to m into e raised to power cx for x greater than equal to 0, then Laplace transform of f of x will always exist for s greater than c. So let us see what the statement says. It says that if you have a function f of x which is piecewise continuous on the interval 0 to infinity, 0 included, and is of exponential order c for x greater than equal to 0, that is important. So it means that you don't need to look for x1. You should have mod of f of x less than is equal to m into e raised to power cx for all x greater than equal to 0. Then the Laplace transformation of fx will always exist for s greater than c. So let us prove this. So since fx is piecewise continuous on 0 to infinity, therefore integrable. Right. So it means that okay, this is piecewise continuous, then e raised to power sx fx is also piecewise continuous because this is a continuous function. Is that thing clear? Piecewise continuous because this is a continuous function. Exponential is a continuous function. So if you multiply a continuous function with a piecewise continuous function, you are going to get a piecewise continuous function. Right. Now we know that a piecewise continuous function is integrable. Therefore, this is integrable. Therefore, 0 to infinity e raised to power sx fx dx integral you will be able to find out. You will be able to find out the integral. There will be no problem. It means that it is not there, that the integral does not exist. Right. You will be able to integrate it. So the only problem which can happen is that now the next thing which we have to see is whether the computer quantity is finite or not, whether it is finite or not. So that is the only thing. So if it is finite, then we say that Laplace transformation exists. Right. Now let us look at the magnitude of this quantity. So this is 0 to infinity e raised to power sx fx dx. Right. Now you know that this is less than is equal to 0 to infinity, modulus you can bring inside. So e raised to power sx fx dx. So this is equal to 0 to infinity modulus of e raised to power sx into modulus of f of x dx. Now because fx is of exponential order c, as fx is of exponential order c, it means that it is less than is equal to m e raised to power cx, right? Here we have minus sign, right, for Laplace transformation. I'm sorry, it is from minus sx we have. So here also you should put a negative sign everywhere. Right, I missed it. So you should put a negative sign everywhere. Fine. Okay, so this quantity is less than is equal to m e raised to power cx. So you can write it as less than is equal to 0 to infinity e raised to power minus sx, because this is anyway positive always, into m e raised to power cx mod. M is also positive, so you don't have to put the mod. So this quantity is m 0 to infinity e raised to power c minus s x dx. So this is equal to m e raised to power c minus s x upon c minus s limit 0 to b, where limits 0 to b, where b is going to infinity. Now you see, if this is negative, if c minus s is less than 0, then this limit is m upon c minus, this will be, if you put b here, that will be 0 because this is negative, minus 1 upon c minus s. So your answer will be m upon s minus c. So you prove that the modulus of your integral 0 to infinity e raised to power sx fx dx is less than is equal to this quantity. For here you get s greater than c, for s greater than c, right? So now this is a finite quantity, therefore this exists, therefore this is a finite quantity, therefore Laplace transformation of fx exists. So we proved that if your function is piecewise continuous and of exponential order c for x greater than or equal to 0, then the Laplace transformation for that function will exist. So this is what we proved. But because we just proved that if this happens, then the Laplace transformation exists, so we just had sufficient conditions, not the necessary one. So it means that there must exist a function which does not satisfy these conditions but still is having a Laplace transformation. So I'll give you a counter example. So let me write down what I'm saying is the above theorem does not give us the necessary conditions. So let me give you an example. Here if you take f of x is equal to x raised to power minus half. So is it a piecewise continuous function on 0 to infinity? Is it a piecewise continuous function on 0 to infinity? So you see, limit x going to 0 of your function f of x is limit x going to 0 1 upon root x, which is infinity. Therefore it is not piecewise continuous, right? And also, is it of exponential order? Is it of exponential order for x greater than or equal to 0? Again the answer is no. You can see that e raised to power minus cx mod of fx, that is e raised to power minus cx into 1 by mod of x. This goes to infinity as x goes to 0. Therefore not bounded, not finite. Therefore it is not of exponential order. Right? Now let us look if the Laplace transform exists. Let us see if the Laplace transform for the same exists. So you can try computing this integral. Laplace transform of x raised to power minus half will be 0 to infinity e raised to power minus st t raised to, x e raised to power minus sx x raised to power minus half dx. Right? Now I can write it as, so I am making a substitution. I am putting x is equal to u square. So dx will be, why I am doing this? So this will be clear later on to you, or maybe you must have studied to how to compute such integrals. We need some substitution formula so that we can have something which is known to us, because here if you try to integration by parts will not work, because none of these two functions is going to die, right, after differentiation. So you need to make substitution. Now you see x is equal to u square. So when x is 0, u is 0. When x is infinity, u is infinity. So 0 to infinity e raised to power minus su square. Here you will get, actually I want to get rid of the square root factor. So you will get u raised to power minus 1, that is 1 by u du. Right? Okay, now what you do, you put this s. This is actually, you can write it as square root of s into u square, right? So what you do, you put square root of s into u is equal to another quantity, say z. So you will get square root of s du is equal to dz. So what you will get, again the limits will be 0 to infinity, and here is 2 also, this from here, right, 2 0 to infinity e raised to minus z square, right, and e raised to minus z square dz by root s, fine, and you have this u here also, right, u root s. Now what is this e square, you have put, okay, I'm sorry, I'm doing some mistake, here is 2u du, fine. So this u and u will cancel, right, so you have this 2 outside, let me just write it inside. Is that thing clear? So I just made a mistake here, so you don't have this u here because it is already cancelled. So this is 2 by root s into 0 to infinity e raised to minus z square dz. Now this is your homework, that you have to compute this integral. So this is actually root pi by 2, so you get root pi by 2. So this is your answer is root pi by s, right. So this is how it means that the integral exists. So Laplace transform of x raised to power minus 1 by 2 is root pi by root s. I told you the formula for this same, you can use that formula also. According to that, this will be gamma function of minus half plus 1 upon s raised to power upon s raised to power minus half plus 1. Now this is gamma of half upon square root of s. Now gamma half is root pi upon root s. So you get, see, same answer you will get, right. So this is an example where the conditions of the theorem are not satisfied but the Laplace transform exists. So this is a counter example for your theorem, right. So thank you. So in this video you should know that we learned about the sufficient conditions for the Laplace transform to exist. Thank you for watching our video. Please do share and subscribe, and also you can join our channel for paid membership. We have 3 plans, 59, 89 and 119, right. For this you have these 3 live sessions in a month, and for this you have 3 live sessions plus 1 video of your own choice. You can send us the topic, and we will create a video in a week and we will send you back, or we'll upload on our channel. And plus in this 119 you will have your own PDF notes for a particular playlist. You can go into the join button, you can click the button and you will have detailed information about that, right. And this money, this will not only help you, but it will also help us to create this quality mathematics content for everybody, right. So we are creating these videos for free, and we want that everybody should have a quality mathematics education. So whatever you are contributing, it is kind of donation also. It will be, it will help us in scaling up our channel for more videos, and we will try to cover as much as topics as possible. Thank you for your support. Please share this video and keep supporting. Thank you.